It started as the kind of journal you'd almost overlook. Plain, nothing special. But layer by layer, something unexpected began to happen. Soft roses blooming across the surface, hints of Paris peeking through textures, and by the end, it doesn't just look handmade, it feels like a story you found in a forgotten antique shop. Hello, my crafty friends. I'm Donna from Mason Creations, etc. And welcome to my channel. If you're ready, my friends, let's make a mess. I bought this simple journal at Walmart and I think it was only $7 or $8. But when I'm done, it's going to look like it cost a lot more than that. I'm starting off giving the front and back cover as well as the spine a coat of white paint. I'm using Dixie Belle chalk paint in the color cotton. I put butcher paper under the top cover to make sure I didn't get paint on any of the inside pages. I'm using a sponge to apply the paint. It lays down more product than a brush can and will give me a little bit of texture. I'll let this dry for about 30 minutes and then I'll flip it over and paint the other side. Once that dries, I can move on to the next step. I just love this rice paper with the pink and gray moody roses. This journal is going to have a very moody vibe. I'm going to use the large image for the front and one of the smaller ones for the back. The back has to look pretty too. I'm using a water brush to separate the images. A water brush has a cartridge that you fill with water and then brush it on the napkin or rice paper. The water dispenses easily, so this is really convenient. The water makes the paper easier to tear. You always want to tear your rice paper or napkin instead of cutting it. A torn edge is much easier to blend than a sharp cut edge. I removed all the factory white edges and as much of the background as I can. It's much easier to blend if there is very little background. I figured out exactly where I wanted to decoupage this image and then began lifting parts of the image to add my adhesive. I'm pressing the image down with my brush and more varnish. I'm using Polyvine Decorator's Varnish today as my decoupage glue. I'm using this formula so you can see that all the Polyvine formulas can be used as decoupage glue. Whichever one you intend to use as your finish varnish, you can use as an adhesive as well. I'm going to use the heavy duty varnish as my finish varnish today, but just wanted to show you that either one will work as an adhesive. Decorator's Varnish is water, stain, abrasion, and heat resistant, as well as food safe. This and all the products you're going to see me use today came from decoupagenapkins.com, my wonderful sponsors. And I'll let this dry for a couple hours. After the front was dry, I added one of the smaller images to the center of the back of the book. This way, the back looks pretty too. Where are you all watching from, my crafty friends? Let me know in the comments. I just love to see what cities and countries all my friends are watching from. I'm filming from sunny Las Vegas, Nevada in the United States. I always make the rice paper or napkin a little bit longer than what I'm going to need so that I can get a nice clean edge. I'm going to do this with a medium grit sandpaper. I'm running the sandpaper over the edge of my piece in a downward motion. Make sure you don't go upward, you'll risk lifting your rice paper or napkin. The sandpaper cuts off the paper, leaving a very clean edge. I'm going to give both the front and back a coat of heavy-duty varnish. All of the Polyvine varnishes are wonderful sealers, but the heavy-duty varnish is my preferred one to use. I love the flawless satin sheen it gives, which is moisture, heat, abrasion, chemical, and stain resistant, as well as food safe. It's water-based, so there is no strong smell or harmful fumes. And then I'll let that dry for about an hour. Okay, now it's time to give this a beautiful dark moody background. I'm sponging on several different colors. I'm using Pentart paints in the colors gray, pine green, black, country green, and off-white. I'm going back and forth with all the colors until I'm happy with the results. I mixed some of the pine green with black to darken it up. If you look closely at the leaves, they are a really dark green, which is what I'm trying to match. I put that dark green mostly around the outside edge. Then I went lighter towards the center to blend with the light color in the rice paper around the roses. My crafty friend Sue W. asked me to decorate a journal. Sue, this video is for you. Because you're watching this video today, decoupagenapkins.com is going to give you a 10% discount on one order that's a minimum of at least $50. This is a one-time discount and is good on your entire order when you use the code MASON10 in all caps at checkout. So now you can get that mold you've been eyeing or some additional rice papers you've been wanting. Even if you've been ordering from them in the past, you can still take advantage of this one-time 10% discount when using the code above. I'll leave all this information for you in my description box below. To find my description box, click on the word more just below the title of this video. I painted this book white before I decoupaged the paper, and here's why. When decoupaging, you always want to paint a white background so the colors on your images show up bright and clear. If you use a dark background, it will show up through your paper and make the colors look dark and dingy. The blending technique I'm using to paint the background is very similar to an ombre technique. If you want to see a video tutorial on exactly how to do ombre painting, click the banner at the top right of your screen. I'll also leave you a link for this video in my description box below. I'm sure you guys have noticed that I use a lot of Dixie Belle and Pentart paints. They are my absolute favorites. They both go on super smooth and creamy with really good coverage. I rarely, if ever, need a second coat of Pentart, and that goes for the metallic colors as well. Now I'm using a sea sponge to add Pentart Platinum, which is a metallic color. I just added a little without full coverage. The sea sponge allows you to add the paint in a blotchy manner. I'm doing all the same steps on the back of the book as well. The paint dries almost as fast as you're sponging it on there, so it only takes a few minutes and you're ready to move on. Okay, my friends, this is going to be fun. I'm doing a faux crackle effect. It's going to look just like cracks, but it's not. I'm using some black ink and a clear silicone stamp. I'm just using one little section of the stamp, inking it up and just placing it in random places. If you have any flaws in your paint job, this works well to cover that up. And I'm doing this on the background, not on the roses, both the front and back of the book. If you're enjoying this video, please let me know by hitting that like button. When you click the like button, a new hype button shows up. If you click that, you'll be able to send points to my channel. YouTube will then send this video out to more viewers. This is great for my channel. I appreciate you for doing that. You won't want to miss any of the new projects coming up, so don't forget to subscribe. I'm using a small dauber sponge to add the platinum paint to the edges of the book. The flat side of the dauber makes it so easy to paint just the edge and keep from getting paint all over. I let the paint dry for about 30 minutes, and then I gave the front and back of the book a coat of varnish to protect the added paint and crackle stamping. And then I'll let that dry for about an hour. I'm going to add some little wood cutout embellishments to the front of this book. I've had the Eiffel Tower in my stash for a few years, but I believe I got it at Hobby Lobby. Others I got at the dollar store. They always have these tiny wooden cutouts. I buy them and stick them in my stash for just the right project. And this was it. I'm going to paint them with Pentart paint in the color rose gold. This color matches the roses in the rice paper just perfectly. I'm using a sponge dauber again, so the paint just gets on the top of the cutout. If you use a brush, you'll get paint buildup in all the little cutout areas. And then I let this dry for about 30 minutes. I'm going to glue all my little embellishments in place now. I'm using Aleene's tacky glue and a couple dots of hot glue to hold them in place until the tacky glue dries. DecoupageNapkins.com has an amazing selection of napkins, and the best part is that you can purchase them individually. They carry a wide range of craft supplies, including rice paper, paints, clay, molds, and an excellent selection of polyvine products. With thousands of items available and new products being added regularly, it's truly a one-stop shop for crafters. Orders are carefully packed and shipped quickly. You'll earn bonus points on orders over $100. Additional offers may vary and are often seasonal, so be sure to check their website. You'll find any promotions displayed in a banner at the top of their homepage. Subscribe to their newsletter by entering your email address to receive 10% off your next order. This discount is separate from the Mason 10 code and may be used on an additional purchase. I'll leave links to all the products I use in the description box below. Please note that all offers are subject to change. To find my description box, click on the word "More" below the title of this video. I'm going to let this dry overnight. I'm going to do some antiquing so that all these beautiful embellishments stand out, and I need a shiny surface for it to work properly. So I'm giving the front of the book a coat of varnish, making sure to get a good coat on all the embellishments. If you've been using polyvine products, you're going to notice that they've changed all the labels and some of the product names. The heavy-duty wood varnish is now heavy-duty varnish, and the heavy-duty extreme varnish is now exterior extreme varnish. I hope you love and enjoy these products as much as I do. And then I'll let that dry for about an hour. I'm using my favorite, Doss clay, to make some embellishments for this project. Doss clay is so easy to work with, dries quickly, and has very little shrinkage or cracking when dry. It's perfect for making molded pieces. After pressing the clay into the mold, I'm scraping off the excess with my palette knife. Now I'm smoothing the clay out with some water. Then I'll put them in the freezer for 20 minutes. Freezing the clay makes it rigid, so they just pop out of the mold easily. No fragile pieces will break off. Fresh out of the freezer, watch how easily these just pop out of the molds. No delicate little pieces will break off. They are frozen solid, so I'll need to let them thaw for a few minutes, but not in the mold. Make sure you remove them from the mold right away as soon as you take them out of the freezer. I'm going to use Aleene's tacky glue to add my molded clay to my piece. I need to add this while the clay is still wet so it'll conform to the piece as it dries. This is the best glue I've found for attaching wet clay. If any glue seeps out from under the clay, I'm removing it right away with a clean, damp brush. I'm also pressing down all the edges of the clay very delicately to make sure they're all connecting with the piece. Any of the products I use in my videos are wonderful products that I personally believe in, so you can bet that each one is a great product. Everything I use will be listed in my description box below. Each one will have a blue link, so they're easy for you to find. Any links I provide are safe for you to click on. To find my description box, click on the word "More" just below the title of this video. I'm going to let this dry overnight. I'm painting the clay detail on the spine with the Pentart Rose Gold, just like the embellishments on the front. Because I'm going to be antiquing this, I let the paint dry for 30 minutes and then added a coat of varnish so I'd have a gloss surface to work with. I'm using my nifty detail brush to paint the edge. I love this brush, it works really well. I switched to a bigger brush to get the top of the clay. And then I'll let that dry for about an hour. If you look at the dark shadows around the large rose in the rice paper, it's a very dark brown, almost black. So I'm going to mix up a custom antique. I'm using pre-mixed folk art antique in the color Wooden Bucket Brown and added a few drops to a little paper cup. I added a little bit of Pentart Black to darken it up so it matches the shadows in the paper. Because I used paint, I added about a teaspoon of glazing medium to my mixture. This will keep the paint from drying quickly, which increases your work time. It also makes it a little thinner. I'm brushing my antique on the piece, going over and around all the embellishments. I'm doing this in sections and wiping the antique off with a soft, dry cloth right away before it can dry. Because of the gloss finish, it will wipe off the surface and stay in all the cracks and crevices, showing the details of the mold. Antiquing gives your embellishments some depth and dimension, making everything look 3D instead of flat. What a difference it makes. Everything just comes to life now. The antique also toned down the vibrance of the rose gold paint, making it match the rose exactly. And I'll let this dry for a couple hours. After the antique dried, I gave the entire front of the book, including the embellishments, a coat of varnish to protect all my work. This is going to be the final coat of varnish. And then I'll let that dry for about an hour. I added a little touch of wax rub in the color White Pearl to highlight the clay embellishment on the spine. I'm putting a small amount of the rub on my finger and rubbing it together with my thumb. Smearing it around like that prevents a large amount of your product ending up in one place. I used some rose gold shimmery organza ribbon to make a tiny little bow to go on the keys. I trimmed the ribbon tails and glued it to the keys. Then glued a tiny pearl and rhinestone button to the center of the bow. Now it's time to go all Donna on this book. I glued some rhinestones to the dragonfly, butterfly, and Eiffel Tower. I'm using a rhinestone picker to add the stones. This is a really convenient little tool. The tip is wax and the stone sticks to it, but releases as soon as you lay it down on a drop of glue. I'm using a chrome pen to add some touches of shiny silver chrome. I'm running the side of the applicator along the edges of all the embellishments. I can't even tell you how much I love this touch. It adds such shimmer and completely brightened up everything. On the spine, I added it to just the tops of the clay piece, highlighting each swirl. Don't forget, all of the wonderful products I'm using today can be found at my favorite place for craft supplies, decoupagenapkins.com, and I'll leave you links in my description box below. I removed that ugly green ribbon and replaced it with my rose gold organza ribbon. I've added a link to a video that I think you may enjoy. Click the picture on the right to be taken directly to that video. I'm so happy you were here with me today, and thanks so much for watching. I can't wait to see you all next week. I'm working on a new project with you in mind. You can subscribe by clicking my picture in the top right corner.